We're going to talk about custom integrations for Workplace a little bit more. We have two great speakers who are helping build the product. First is Asta Agarwal, who is one of the engineers building the product, and the second is Connor Tracy, who's one of the partner engineers, potentially working with your businesses to help you get up and running on Workplace.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Asta Agarwal. I'm an engineer on the Workplace team in London. My day job involves writing and shipping code. Now, some of you will relate to that work day, and some of you may not. But something that I'm sure that we all have in common is that we use a bunch of tools every day to get our work done. Wouldn't it be great if these tools integrated seamlessly into our workflows so you could spend less time switching between them and more time focusing on things that matter? So today, my colleague Connor and I are going to talk about how we employ Workplace and its integrations at Facebook. We'll show you how you can plug in tools that you use every day into Workplace so you can build easy workflows around them and boost productivity. If you were in Simon and Joanna's talk earlier, you'd have heard about Workplace and its features. But if you were not, let me give you a quick introduction to what Workplace is. So this is the Workplace home screen. As you can see, it looks very similar to Facebook, but is set in work context. This product is based around groups and chat. Groups are where people come together and participate not only in social discussions, but also to discuss ideas, problems, and make plans of action. And chat is to allow you to message your coworkers or call them. Apart from that, the familiar concepts of news feed, search, notifications, events, etc. follow from Facebook. We also offer mobile apps, both for iOS and Android. Our Workplace app gives you access to the core features like groups, comments, likes, posts, etc. And our Work Chat is the world-class messaging app. But that's not all. It's really the core principles of Workplace that make it a great tool for companies to use. As I said before, the look and feel of Workplace is very similar to that of Facebook. So when you land into the product, you have a very low or no learning curve. You already know how to use it. Now you just have to think about how it can help you and your colleagues work better. This is your company account, separate from your Facebook account, so you can keep your personal and work lives separate. With Workplace, we are not only connecting teams, but entire companies. So whether you're the CEO, IT admin, or a store manager, everyone gets a voice. With powerful mobile apps, you can communicate and connect with your coworkers straight from your phone. Companies where employees don't have a desktop computer, but just a personal mobile phone, can use Workplace, as well as companies where people work from their laptops. And lastly, all of this is backed by Facebook's technology, and we are innovating at a fast pace. At Facebook, we've been using Workplace for quite some time internally. We use groups, chat, events, etc. for internal communications. We all know that people spend a big part of their day at work. So we decided that we should share this powerful tool with other companies so they can stay connected via Workplace. So we started a beta program with a few companies in 2015, which we called Facebook at Work. Based on their feedback, we iterated on the product and made it better. And we launched it publicly last year in October for any company to sign up and join. We also added API support for Workplace, and we are launching some new features for API today. Let me walk you through our API journey before I get into the new features. One of the most important things for companies is to make sure that all of their employees are in Workplace. For small companies, this can be done manually, but as the company scales, it becomes a tedious task. So we added a user management API that allows companies to add and remove members from Workplace programmatically. This also allowed companies to edit member details like their title, manager, etc., directly from the API. Then companies wanted to access their content on Workplace via API. So we added group and content management APIs, which are based on the Graph API that you're already familiar with. However, we understand that companies function differently, and people across companies use various tools internally. So today, we are launching the ability to create bots within Workplace. These bots allow you to integrate the tools that you use every day and build easy workflows around them. These bots work with two surfaces, chat and groups. In this talk, Connor and I are going to go into more details on how to build these bots. At Facebook, we've built over 100 bots for our workplace that help people get things done. I'll talk about some of my favorite examples. If you've visited a Facebook office before, you'd have seen that on the reception, we have iPads where guests can check in, very similar to the iPads that you'd have seen today downstairs. This then triggers a bot which sends a message to your host informing them about your arrival. Now, an email about the same was easy to get lost, but since this is a direct ping, it ensures quick action. As we build features, we create feedback groups on Workplace, where employees discuss ideas and problems. We also have an internal tool to keep track of tasks that people work on. So we built a bot to connect these tools for smooth functioning across them. So as you can see, a discussion can now be converted into an actionable task by tagging our task bot. This preserves the context of the post on the task and gives real-time updates back from the task onto the post. Now, one of our mottos at Facebook is to focus on impact. So we've built a simple tool that allows people to recognize others for their impactful work. When somebody does great work, we thank them via the thanks bot. This thanks then gets recorded on their profile for their manager and other coworkers to see. This is a great example of transforming company culture via a simple tool. It acknowledges people for the effort that they put in and motivates them to continue doing awesome work. Now, as Facebook scales, interviews form a big part of our day. We've built internal tooling to keep track of interviews. And before an interview, we get a message from the interview bot that gives us information about the candidate. This is really useful context before walking into an interview. And after meeting the candidate, we can take notes and send to the interview bot while they're still fresh in our head. Over time, these bots have become an integral part of our workflows. And it's not just us. Other companies are building custom integrations as well. 3,000 companies are using custom integrations to manage their workplace. They use these integrations not only to add and remove members from their workplace, but have built some useful workflows around them. For example, one of our retail customers have a bot that posts into a stock management group when stocks of a product are running low in one of their stores. Companies with international offices often have FII, or social groups, for each office location. So admins at one such company built a bot that adds people to relevant groups like these. So when people join an office, they immediately start feeling like a part of the community and can start participating in activities that are happening in that office. Bots can also facilitate some direct conversation between limited groups. For example, an airline company created a bot that adds people to a group before a flight. This allows the crew members to discuss any last-moment changes and coordinate. Now, all of that is great, and you have some context in the product now. So I'll invite my colleague, Connor Tracy, on stage to talk more about the API and show us how to build these bots.
So Asta's told you more about how we at Facebook built bots to make our workplace more efficient, and how we launched custom integrations to help our customers to do the same thing. We're really excited today to be able to tell you more about what's possible, about how you can get started building useful bots for your own workplace. But first, a quick note on why we're building this. Technology is changing the way that we work. Whether you're a developer in California or a doctor in Calcutta, work is increasingly happening on mobile tools. And this means that the role of IT teams is changing as well. Teams who in the past were charged with making the most of a hardware deployment budget are now expected to choose from the best enterprise tools and to ensure that they work well together wherever people work. We've built Workplace to make it easier to connect with the people that you work with, wherever you work. And today, we're excited to bring some powerful new features to Workplace so that you can build custom integrations to easily connect with the tools you use to do your job. As Asta described, custom integrations can be built by IT admins to extend the functionality of Workplace inside your company. If you're building a custom integration for your company, you can make use of APIs that enable you to manage the users in your Workplace community, manage the content in groups in your community, and build bots to provide new functionality for the employees at your company. In the rest of this talk, we'll be focusing on the newest feature of custom integration, bots. The bots that we have in Workplace work in two groups, bots in chat and bots in groups. We'll go into details on each of these soon, but I want to start with bots in chat. To bring bots to Work Chat, we didn't reinvent the wheel. We've brought across the best of the Messenger platform so that if you're familiar with building bots on Messenger, you'll be able to feel right at home building bots on Work Chat. In fact, we even made sure that the existing Messenger platform sample apps can be used as a starting point for a bot in Work Chat without changing any of the code. This also means that we support all of the rich interaction features that are available on the Messenger platform, including quick replies, so that you can ask simple questions and provide multi-choice buttons so that people can provide their responses without typing. Message templates, so that you can send structured information into a chat thread, let people scroll through results, and choose from quick buttons. Persistent menus, so that you can provide common actions that remain available throughout the conversation with your bot. And localization, so that you can build one bot that serves a global workforce in any language they speak. And as you may have heard earlier in Simon's talk, we've worked with some of the leading bot platform partners to ensure that their services and platforms are compatible with Workplace. So you can use one of these platforms to build a bot without writing a single line of code. But this is F8, and you're developers. You came here to learn how to code these bots for yourself, and that's exactly what we're going to show you today. In a few minutes, Asta and I are going to show you some of the bots that we've built, and we'll demonstrate how we built them and show you some of the code that we use. Now, I'm guessing many of you in the room are Facebook developers already, but developing for Workplace may be a new concept for many of you. So let's start with some Graph API basics. One of the nice things about being powered by Facebook is that we get to inherit the same Graph API that powers over 1 trillion API calls a day on Facebook. This is the API that you already know, and we're using it in Workplace. But there are a few key differences for Workplace that are worth highlighting, starting with the data model. If you're building an app for Facebook, you'll start from the current user that's logged in via Facebook login. And then you'll work outwards from there to get things like photos, friends, and other information that you need to build a meaningful app. Whereas on Workplace, you start at the community level, and then you drill down into things like groups, group members, posts, and comments for the things you need to build a useful bot. And the auth model for custom integrations is a bit different as well. Creating a custom integration is only possible if you're an IT admin, and you do it from the admin dashboard that you can see above. When you create a new custom integration, you do it directly from within that dashboard. You get an access token that you can use on the Graph API, and this grants you access right away. There's no need for user-level authentication here. An IT admin creates the app, and the app gets system-level access via the Graph API. So let's show you an example. With a token like the one I just showed, you can start making calls to get information out of Workplace. So with this call to the community groups edge, you'll be able to see a list of all of the groups in your Workplace community. But that doesn't mean that every app needs to access everything. We've built a granular permission model so that you can control the level of access that each app has. Now, I'll go into detail on these permissions a little bit later. But with this model, it's possible to create an app that can, for example, only read content from open groups, but not the closed or secret groups in your community. So let's again look at this, show you what this looks like. If we give a bot the ability to manage groups, then with a simple post request to the community groups edge, you can create a brand new group like this one, the London Team FYI group. You'll get an ID back, and with that ID, you can start adding members to that group automatically with another post request to the members edge for that group. So if I pass that in, I get success true, then the person has just been added to the group and notified that this app has added them to the group. Then, if you give that same app the ability to post into groups as well, then with a simple call, a post request to the feed, you can post a message, and the people that are in that group will see that post coming from the bot that you've made. And just like how we use the Graph API for fetching and retrieving content from groups and posting to groups, we also use Facebook's own webhooks technology for real-time updates so that you can provide callback URLs and get automatically updated about the things that you need to know about. For Workplace, if you build a bot, that bot can get notified in real time about events like when it's messaged, when there's new group activity, posts and comments in groups, or security events like people logging in, logging out, and changing their password. These same webhooks have allowed us to work with some of the leading security and compliance vendors to add native support for Workplace. But that's probably enough theory for now. Why don't we show you how this stuff comes together with a live demo? All right. So for this demo, we'll show you how you can use a bot in WorkChat to improve a workflow that almost everybody loves: filing expenses. So let's say I've got a receipt for the taxi ride I took over to San Jose today. Wouldn't it be great if I could just file that expense directly from WorkChat, which is a tool I already use every day for communicating with my employees? So we built a bot for that. It's going to ask me a couple of things. I'm going to choose a new claim to start creating a new expense claim. Now, the first thing it's going to do is ask for a picture of the receipt that I'm going to file an expense claim for. So I flip over to the camera, take a photo of my receipt, and send that over to the bot. Now, the bot's going to ask a couple more pieces of information just so we can create an expense claim. So I'll fill in the amount, $30, and add a comment. All right. And now the bot has enough information to create an expense claim that's ready for me to submit. You can see it's replied back with the information that it's captured, and it's giving me a button to submit my expense claim. So if I hit submit, the bot is going to then take care of sending over the expense claim that I've made over to my manager for approval. My manager happens to be Asta.
And as Connor hit submit, I've received a ping from the expense bot containing the claim. And I'm feeling generous today, so I'll approve it right away. And Connor will get a notification back on his phone saying that the expense was approved. So that concludes the demo. But let's show you how we built it. We'll show you some parts of the code on screen, but the complete app is available on our GitHub repo on github.com/fbsamples. So to begin with, we've set up the app to receive webhooks when it is messaged. This can be done by the admin dashboard, as you can see on the screen. So we've specified a URL and selected the relevant subscription fields, messages, and messaging postbacks. The app setup is now complete, and the server is up and running. So now when Connor messages the bot, it receives a webhook call containing the message. This call contains Connor's ID as the message sender and a link to download the receipt image, along with some other information. This bot can then download the receipt for storage purposes. So far, the bot only has a receipt, so it asked for some more information by making Graph API post requests. As you can see, it specifies the recipient ID, which is the sender ID from where it's just got a message from, and sends a text message here. And when Connor replies to these messages, it gets a webhook call, just as before. At this point, the bot can also use structured messages and templates that are provided by the API. So it creates a structured message and confirms if the expense is ready for submission. It provides easy buttons to select the next action. As Connor clicks on submit, it receives a postback webhook call containing the sender information and the postback payload. This payload tells the bot that Connor wants to submit the expense. Notice that so far, this is the same as Messenger platform. Now, the next thing that the bot wants to do is to get the approval from the manager. Since this information is available on Workplace itself, we don't need to maintain a separate database for this. So the bot makes a Graph API GET call to sender ID/managers and gets back the user ID of the manager, which happens to be me in this case. After getting the manager's ID, the bot needs to send a message to the manager to get approval. Again, it makes a Graph API post call to send a message. As before, it specifies a recipient and sends a text message. Notice here that the bot was able to start the conversation with the user without the user having to message the bot first. This is a new feature that we've added for work chat for use cases like these. As before, it provides buttons for easy action. And after I reply with a confirmation, the bot can then record this on the payroll service. This could be any internal tool that your company uses for storing this data, or an external tool that you use to maintain records. We've skipped that part from the demo to focus on the simplified user experience in this flow.
So that's an example of simplifying a common workflow like an expense approval process by building a bot that lives in WorkChat. For our next demo, we're going to show you how you can use bots in groups to help improve your workflows around capturing feedback. Now, bots in groups are an entirely new concept that we've just launched for Workplace. So I'll show you a little bit more about what bots can do in groups. In groups, bots can do almost everything that people can do. So this means you can build bots that post new content into groups for people to see, bots that can comment on posts made by people and like posts in order to indicate acknowledgement or an approval. And most importantly, bots can also mention people to get their attention and draw them into a conversation that they need to pay attention to. Bots can also be mentioned, so that you can mention a bot that kicks off a workflow process or ask a question for the bot to reply to. To make this real, we'll show you what this looks like with another demo. Now for this demo, let's imagine that both Asta and I work at a company where we use groups on Workplace to capture feedback about the products that we work on. And one of the products that I work on is the company website. So we have a website feedback group where I can capture feedback from people about the website I'm building.
And I've just noticed that there's a typo on the website. So let me make a post on the website feedback group so that Connor can notice it too.
Great. So I've just received Asta's notification. So I'm going to jump to the website feedback group and read the post. So she's mentioned there's a spelling mistake in title. And that's totally right. I can see that it's obviously spelled wrong and I need to take some action. So wouldn't it be great if I could just go directly from the feedback post in Workplace to working on the feedback that Asta's provided? We built a bot that does exactly this. Now, I use GitHub for tracking the code on the website. And so it would be great if I could just file an issue directly from Workplace. We have this bot, file an issue, which allows me to type in some information about the issue I'm going to file. Now, whenever I make that comment, Workplace is going to send a webhook out to my bot, letting it know that it's been mentioned in a post and giving it the place where it was mentioned and some information about what was mentioned. The bot's going to like the post and reply back with a link to the issue already created on GitHub. So now I've got this link. I didn't have to file anything, and I can click through to GitHub and take action. So it's clear from this that I need to fix something, right? So let's imagine then that I'm just going to fix the issue in GitHub, submit some new code, and then call the issue done. When I close this issue, the bot will immediately take care of replying back to the post that Asta made on Workplace. Well, it's a live demo, and it couldn't all have gone perfectly well, could it? Let's pretend you just saw a comment from the bot saying that it's just been that the issue that Asta raised has been resolved by me. I mean, we got so close to a perfect demo, right? All right, so we'll go back to the slides to show you how that was built.
So after I got a notification, I know that the problem was fixed. So again, as with the previous demo, let's show you how we built it. The code for the complete app is available on our GitHub repo, github.com/fpsamples. So this time, we've set up the bot to receive webhooks when it gets mentioned. This can again be done via the admin dashboard. So we've specified a URL where we will be receiving webhook calls and have selected the mention field here. Now when Connor mentions the bot, our server receives a webhook call containing information about where it was mentioned. The bot now knows that it needs to create a GitHub issue. It gets the title of the issue from the message of the comment. But it doesn't have the body of the issue. In our demo, we use the content of the original post as the issue body. We already have the post ID in the webhook payload here. So the bot now makes an API call to get the body of the issue. Using the post ID, it fetches the message in the original post. It also asks for the post permalink URL to link back to the post. Now that the bot has all the info it needs, it proceeds to create a GitHub issue. Conveniently, both Workplace and GitHub support Markdown formatting in text. So we'll just pass the original post content to GitHub, and that renders in a rich preview on GitHub. We've also appended a link to the original Workplace post so that it is easy to find the post back from GitHub. The next thing we want to do is to have the bot reply back to the person who mentioned it, providing a link to our newly created GitHub issue. So for that, the bot makes a Graph API post request on the comment, including the URL to the GitHub issue. Now, when anyone goes to the group, they'll immediately know that this bug is being worked on. And as Connor described earlier, bots can also tag people to draw their attention or to acknowledge them. This can be done by using their Workplace ID. This is the part that you missed in the demo. So when the issue is closed, the bot mentions Connor, who fixed and closed the issue.
All right. So that completes our sample app, or almost completes our sample app demo of a bot interacting in a group. But why stop there? With this same concept, we can do some amazing things. So for example, why not have a bot that posts into a group to let people know when an important service like the credit card payment system is offline? And then have our same file and issue bot automatically create an issue in GitHub and send a link over. Now, sadly, we're not quite at the stage where these bots can actually fix these problems themselves. So, we can't retire just yet.
And bots are not only for tech teams. For example, if you're a retail company and people often forget their personal belongings in your store, you can build a bot where employees can report lost items. And they can also use this bot to query for items when customers come looking for them.
Or have you ever been on Facebook or Workplace and read a post and been like, oh, that's great, the TPS reports are going up. But secretly in the background, you're wondering, what's a TPS report? Well, in my experience, you're probably not the only one who's wondering that. So instead of just wondering in the dark, you could build a jargon bot that helps people provide useful definitions for the jargon that people use in your job every day. Now, you might be brave enough to ask a question, and there may be 10 people who aren't, but this jargon bot can answer back with some information so that everybody knows what Simon's talking about.
You could also build an RSS bot that posts about relevant information in a group. For example, in here, the feed poster bot posts about Facebook developer news on a relevant developer group.
And one of the things that we hear from companies a lot is how to get good feedback back about whether employees are happy working at the company. So you could build an employee survey bot that just sends a quick notification to people asking them to provide some information back about how happy they are working at the company. So with this, a couple of quick replies are enough to get some feedback back about whether people are happy working at the company. Now, this same bot can also automate posting into a group to let the leadership team know the results of that survey as it's created. All right, so we've shown you what's possible today with custom integrations. And hopefully, we've shown you how we built our demo apps. And hopefully, you're inspired to go and build some powerful bots today at your company. But since a lot of the concepts that we showed you today are new, we've compiled a few best practice tips to get you thinking about how to get the most of custom integrations. First of all, you should be mindful about using the right channel for your bot. Is this a bot that several people might interact with in a group, or a bot that posts content for several people to see? If so, you should probably build a bot that posts in groups and replies to information there. Or does it make more sense for people to interact with this bot in private? Is this a bot that needs to alert a single person of some information and wait for a reply? Or a bot that joins a workflow together between two people, like an expense approval process? This interaction probably belongs in work chat. Remember, a single app can handle both channels. So there may be times when your help desk bot takes messages in work chat, and other times where it needs to post in groups and pick up the replies in the group where it was posting. Now, assuming you've subscribed your bot for the webhooks that we've built, your bot's going to get notified when it's mentioned in a group post or a comment. If your bot has to go and do some work, then it might be worth posting a quick like on the comment that the person mentioned your bot in to let it know that it's off doing some work and acknowledge that it was mentioned. Then, when you're providing information after being mentioned, add a threaded reply to the person that mentioned the bot to keep the rest of the group conversation flowing. Of course, if your bot needs to provide information back to the original poster, then add a comment on the post itself so that they get notified about your reply. And as we said earlier, the work chat functionality for bots mirrors the functionality available on the Messenger platform. So this includes support for quick reply buttons and templates that let you implement complicated decision trees in bot conversations. This cuts down the amount of typing that people need to do when interacting with your bot. But more importantly, this means that you can build simple workflows without requiring complicated natural language processing. And if you're building bots that serve a global workforce, this makes internationalization of the bots much simpler too. Now, a quick word on the permissions that we showed you earlier. Not every app needs to have every permission in order to function. For example, you may want to enable your sales team to build a bot that posts weekly reports into a group and answer comments on the posts that it makes. But a bot like that probably doesn't need to perform any account management work, so it won't need that permission or some of the other permissions that we have available. Some of these permissions are really powerful, so you should only give the permissions needed for the functionality that you want to build. And while we have your attention on security, the access tokens that we give out for custom integrations are only shown once, so store them somewhere safe. If you ever need a new token, you can generate a new one at any time, and this will invalidate the previous tokens. We've also built IP whitelist support, so you can restrict the tokens to only be used on servers that you define. This makes it possible to build a bot that can only make Graph API calls from specific IP addresses. So that's some simple best practices to get you thinking about how to build powerful custom integrations and useful bots. If you want to learn more, start with our developer documentation on developers.facebook.com/workplace, where we've documented all the functionality, added some more best practices, and given links to GitHub for the examples that Asta and I demoed today.
We'd love to hear your ideas and feedback. So Connor and I will be around for a little while after this talk. And you can find us and rest of the Workplace team at the Dev Garage both today and tomorrow.
As we said before, technology is changing the way we work. We've built Workplace to make it easier to connect with the people that you work with wherever you work. And today, we've announced some powerful new features for Workplace so that you can build custom integrations that easily connect you with the tools that you need to do your job. We've worked hard to bring the best of the Messenger platform to WorkChat so that you can build bots in chat. And we defined a brand new interaction model for bots in groups so that you can have bots interact with the content that you share on Workplace. If you haven't started using Workplace yet, get started today at facebook.com/workplace and grab an account. We're really excited to make these new features available to you today, and we can't wait to see what you build with them. Thank you.